Oh my God, it actually worked. Hello, everybody. I am Bruce Kasanoff, and that's, well, I don't know which direction, but that's Molly Chang over there. And I'm going to let Molly do 98% of the talking, but I just want to start by saying I've waited for 4 years for this day. Um, Molly has been building this movement, as she calls it, to um, help everybody say what needs to be said and know how to do that and be comfortable. And now we are in the first 24 hours of her new LinkedIn Learning course being live. So you can actually learn everything that's in her head. And I have learned probably more from Molly than anybody I know about communication and how to move through the world. So, Molly, how do you feel today?
I am just bursting with joy, and it's not even a nervous joy, it's a pure joy. And we were do these office hours and, oh, you should have a moderator. And it just was so clear to me that you needed to be with me on this because you were the whole impetus for this. So I just want to shout out a really heartfelt gratitude for you, Bruce, because without you, this would never have started and I certainly wouldn't be here.
Well, you would have been here, but it might have taken another few weeks. But anyway, so let's dive in. The course was under wraps, so I just went through it this morning, and it's phenomenal. And the reason I'm going to say that, and by the way, we're not going to promote the whole time. The whole point is for Molly to offer some of her knowledge today. But the reason, maybe we could do this by starting with your me, you, and we framework, because when I hit that, and I've talked to Molly like 800 times about some aspect of what she does and the knowledge that she has, but it is an elegantly simple and powerful framework. So maybe you can start with that. This is a key part of the course.
For
What
sure.
is it?
Yeah, thanks. So this was a big journey for me too. And so as I was creating videos and helping people to speak up, and for me, I was just doing it. And then at some point I had to step out because it was working for people. And I had to say, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? And so if you will, I reverse engineered what I knew was working to figure out the steps. And it became very obvious to me that upwards of 80% of this notion of whether it's a difficult conversation, all that starts within. And so that's the
Mhm.
me component. And that's really the emotional intelligence to know what is going on for me. Oh, I am annoyed. Oh, I'm disappointed. All legitimate. Going into a conversation, making an assessment. If I show up that way, is it helpful? And there's an
So
ego
so
involved.
just give us give us the one sentence each. Me is what, you and we, like
So
how does
great.
that all
Me
fit
is the
together?
capability to lead myself, which sets the stage for success.
Okay.
You was the ability to put myself in others' shoes so that we connect because it's fundamental to connect.
Mhm.
And we is that ability to hear all the voices, including those unpopular things, the bad news, the difficult feedback, whatever you don't think the other person wants to hear, because only when you bubble up the disconnects do you get to this accurate shared reality, which is the basis of really us
So
being successful.
so even though you're using three different pronouns, the person who's taking your training program is doing all those things. It's really just a quick word so they remember
It's a
these
quick
different
course there. Thank you for
orientations.
that. It can take 15 seconds. I can be thinking, what's going on for me? What's
Mm.
going on for the other person? Let me think about how I bring something up that's going to land for them. And then the we is what serves the whole. And in some cases, you might be fine, but the you is, I actually don't know where this person is. So it helps you really consider all the players because yes, some people are trying to communicate to be right all the time. Let's take those
Right.
people away. Really, most of us want to communicate so that we do great work, right? That we really best serve the whole. And Alan Mulally says, serve the greater good. And those three components are just game changer. And to your point, super simple.
And so this is all in the context. You said to me some years back that, because I was thinking, wait a minute, how much do we want to say and how much do we want to share and when is it right and when is it wrong? And tell me if this is correct, that you're essentially saying we're we're doing this in service of our common goals of who we are together. We're not doing it like, oh, I feel really sad. I got to tell someone. You're saying, no, how do I make us better? How do I move us toward and all of this framework, all of the course is about that. Is that accurate?
It's absolutely accurate. And so when people hear hearing all voices, and I can understand this, this is not about everyone blathering on about whatever. It is about,
Right.
in the context of the work to be done, thus coming together, what is the relevant information? Some of which is objective facts of a
Mm,
situation, but a lot of it, a majority of it is what are different people's experiences, where are people at, what are people's observations, and to be able to realize that our reality is not just objective facts, of which there's very little in life. It is about really coming together and establishing, do we all see this in a similar way? Because we're going to make decisions based on that view, and we better hopefully see it in a similar way.
and in the me, you, we framework, can you generalize about what is harder for people, or does it change with each person?
I would say the me part is the hardest because, when it's frustrating, a communication, it's just easy to blame the other person.
Right.
My boss doesn't get it. If I heard doesn't get it, oh, right. So are they dumb and they don't get it? You know, so the ability to think maybe, just maybe, I wasn't quite as crystal clear as I thought. And I don't want
Mm,
anyone to think that they're a bad human being. It's just that you have the benefit of what's going on in your head that really maybe hasn't been articulated to the other person, right? And I also think folks who are like, so and so, it wasn't clear, I didn't understand. Totally fair. But if you don't say, hey, Bruce, I know that you're an expert in this, I gotta be honest, I didn't really follow it. I didn't understand. Could you say it again? Could you say it a different way? If we don't
mm.
do that, we're kind of part of the issue because that poor person has no idea that we don't get it.
Right. Now, you also, in this section of the course, you talk about the thing you said that changed my life, which is we have a choice about the energy we bring into every conversation, every interaction, every relationship. And, I'm a middle-aged person with a lifetime of communications, and that was it wasn't new news to me, but the degree to which it's true was new to me. That how you sit, do you smile, do you say, like, for example, you did the if you come in 10 minutes late and you're the leader of the meeting and say, I'm running late, I got another meeting, you're telling everybody to shut up, basically. And so all of those things, that's part of this, right? The energy you bring.
It is an enormous part of us. I just did a 400-person webinar before this, and I said to the group, I said, this might be my single biggest gift to you today. And that is to
Mhm.
appreciate that how you show up before you utter a single word can set the stage in a very big way. And the ability to be genuine about that, if you're truly in service to what the group's trying to do, whatever that current piece of work is, that can be hard because people are working hard. They're not getting enough sleep. Stuff's going on. It's a lot. And so to have self-compassion and also to have the discipline to, to ask for what you need. And I know a lot of people struggle with this it's no, there's no recipe, folks. There's no like
Mhm.
do this, do that, and it's going to be perfect. But each of us needs to be able to know what do we really need, and then we have to be able to find ways to get it if we want to be our our best selves, if you will, and to be able
Right.
to serve the work at hand.
So just a little, let's back up for a second, the kind of summary statement. If I were to take this course, what would what's a reasonable expectation? Like, what am I going to get out of it?
Well, I'm a super practical girl. So I really, really took a step back. And LinkedIn Learning has never had their own leadership communications course. So they've licensed pieces, but I'm the first one. And it was really a gift because I said, you know what? In 2023, we shouldn't be here. So it's really very practical. I give some introductory context to really land for leaders just how pivotal it is, the words you say and how you say them. And I do
Mm,
think that people sometimes gloss over that. As a leader, words you say in a small way can make a big difference on people. And it's that whole privilege to lead and the responsibility to lead well. So I think
mm.
the context that hopefully helps people further appreciate how game changing is yes, I want you to lead to your full potential so that you're super successful. And I feel like those you have the privilege to lead, they deserve to be led well. They deserve a leader who is able to communicate in a very effective way, so that you can help them fulfill and really grow and reach their potential. I have some key principles about that we go into. Then I go through me and the you and the we, and that me. You talked about listening early before you started, and by the way, folks, Bruce got anointed as like top listener by one of the top listening people we know. But that, like, okay, some tips, like, how do we listen? I mean, it's not hard to say, oh, I should be listening, but in a practical schema, how do we do that? The notion of intention, notion of invulnerability. So I take them through, and if you will, double click and try to make it very doable for people, because they can be very obvious words, but we're not exactly sure, like, what are we supposed to do about them, right? So I go through the
And
me.
big news, you have actors in here.
Oh, so this is another brilliant thing, and I just have to do a shout out to Allison Hankey, my content producer. She's like, we must do scenarios. I'm like,
Right.
yes, let's do scenarios. So then you have the role playing back and forth, and as folks know, I mean, the same thing is going on in every organization of any size anywhere in the world. Fundamentally,
Well, but it was. I just want to make clear. It was actually remarkably effective in terms of there's, I think it was 5 people at a table with the leader, and they do it the right way and the wrong way, not in a really goofy way, but in a natural way that you see, wow, he just tried to say, the leader in this case was a man. He just tried to say the same message 2 ways, and one of them was like, I leaned back because I was like, whoa, and the other one, he said the same thing, but in a better way, and this is the thing that just everyone you'll see with Molly, is that usually Molly, the choices that you make in terms of communication, they're pretty small. They're not like, oh, you can't say that. They're more like, if you used a different pronoun, it'd make a difference. So give us an example of that.
So often, and I appreciate your call on this, because it is these small things that make a huge difference. So often, someone comes to us, and out of our mouth we'll say you, and it might even be an emphatic you. And right now, that person is on their heels. They are on defense. Done. And so whatever you have to say, and you were not intending to do that, but they are already in a fight or flight situation. So that ability to be acknowledging people, leaders, I think, God bless, when the ones really want to hear bad news, but someone comes and tells you bad news, or someone, literally a pilot project fails, and they're all upset, kind of shrugging, and you have just squashed innovation in your group for the next 10 years. People are like, oh, did you see how the leader responded? Done. It's done. And the worst thing is, no one's going to tell you.
Right.
No. So people go, yeah,
suicide, right?
Yeah, I've seen
Why
this.
would you do that? Yeah.
Why would you do that? Right. So I think that so I, to get back to what you were talking about, that ability to be aware of, hey, someone did that well, aware someone could have done that a little bit better. I mean, I'm a bit cursed by this. Sorry. Like I can just like hear it all day long. That it starts with the awareness. So to be in tune to it, then when you're more aware and you're more aware of what you're doing, you have a chance to actually make a change.
So if you just joined us, this is Molly Chang. She's the creator of Leadership Communication in the Flow of Work, a brand new LinkedIn learning course, less than 24 hours old. I'm Bruce Kasanoff, her friend who's coming and making it a little bit easier for her to share this with you. And we're talking, just giving a preview about the course, which is tremendous, as someone who just went and watched it this morning. One of the sections here is about unleashing others' potential. Talk a little bit about how you do that.
So and I was just on with, actually, Harry Kramer is going to be on my show soon, and he was formerly the chairman and CEO of Baxter International, and he
teaches at Kellogg now.
He teaches at Kellogg. He's like unbelievable. And we were having one of these, like, we can't even believe we have to say this, but a leader's primary role is developing your people so that they are unbelievable. And that really is not an optional event. And where I had worked before, if you were not a leader who didn't have a track record of literally showing how you lifted people up, boost them, sent them off the nest, and they flew far and wide and were amazing leaders, you didn't go anywhere. And I would love to get back to that is something that people take on really seriously. And so I think that ability to be really open-hearted, this performance reviews, feedback, this is all a hot topic. And I think a lot of folks who are in people leader roles haven't had a chance to have a little training on how do we do this. It feels a little checkbox because sometimes it's an annual review. There's always forms involved.
Right.
So I get it. If one can establish that I'm here for you to make you a better you. We're all going to make mistakes, including me, because that's the only way we grow. And my ask is that we try to make new mistakes. Fair, right? So then all of a sudden you normalize that, and that you as the leader are taking input from people. And this is what the leadership teams I work with. I'm like, make no bones about it. If you folks don't amp it up and you don't raise the bar, you're not creating headroom for anyone in the organization.
Right.
So don't tell me the company is going to grow if the leaders themselves are not growing as individuals and together.
And in watching this course, I was struck by the fact that it wasn't designed, exclusively for the top 5 people in the company. I mean, it seems to me that even if no one works for you, you could take this and benefit. Do you ever interact with other people? Is that a fair statement?
I think that that's absolutely a fair statement, because being an effective, leading of people communicator, you have to be in good relationship with yourself. You have to be able to lead yourself. And this course really, I think, gets to that. And I'm hoping that it frees people to be honest with ourselves, and to be able to be more self-aware and to own that. And just so folks know, when you're more self-aware and you know about some of the things that maybe aren't so brilliant, you need to amp up your self-compassion. Otherwise, you're just going to just berate yourself, right? Listen, we're all perfectly imperfect, right? So you want to give yourself some space for that. And I would offer that one of the reasons, and I started this whole Say It Skillful thing, is that I wanted people to feel that they had agency, that you could empower yourself to use your voice. Because if you're waiting for someone to give you permission, we're going to be here a long time, right? And I wanted to offer for people, you didn't go to, whether you went to some Ivy school or a community college or didn't go to college, you did not work your butt off to come to a workplace and be a mute. And I really wanted people to own that you have something to add. You have value, you matter. That's why the organization hired you. And so we want to hear from you. And by the way, in terms of improving and getting better, right, that the only way we do that is if we practice.
Right.
And so, people should feel that that's a great thing. And, maybe it isn't exactly how you wanted it, but you went there. Right. And so I think a lot for a lot of people, I played kind of a cheerleader role, Bruce, because I'm not sure sometimes leaders are as cognizant that that's a pretty basic need. Just like, hey, you can do it. Edible, you got it. Right. And I think that.
Well, I mean, you're in the realm of things that it feels difficult to say to other people. And I don't think that ever changes. I mean, we mistakenly think that, well, if you have a big title or, you have responsibility or you have budget or you've made money, then it gets easier. And I don't see any evidence that it gets easier unless it was always easy for you to do something. And even then there's something else that's challenging.
I love that you bring this up, because I actually talked to Alan Mullally about this at length just a few days ago. And so that notion of labeling, and this is the judging, because I shared earlier today, I felt very judged as a kid, which I'm not making anyone else bad. I kind of put that on me. And so it's very easy for Molly to judge others. And it's taken me a long time to reel that in. I still have to be pretty intentional about it. But that ability to really just see the information for what it is. And so a conversation could be challenging, difficult, because we're not exactly sure how. But if you go in and say, label it, it's going to be difficult. It's probably not going to be easier. So you might say, and then if you step back and say, but what's the purpose here? What is my like, if I have this conversation, it's going to help that person get better. It's going to help me. Maybe you don't like the work, you're frustrated, but it's going to help your life be better. And it's going to serve the organization in a bigger way. And so if we can appreciate the why we're doing that, it may not be like, oh, eating ice cream. I'm loving doing it. But you
Right.
realize that there's a there, and that if you do that, it's going to be good things. And with whoever that person is, I would offer really gives a chance to strengthen the relationship. You may
Mm.
go there and be forthright and do it all perfectly, if you will. You can't control how the other person is, but you gave it your best shot, and you will go to bed feeling I did the right thing. I did it the best of my ability, and you can be at peace.
Right. And so this isn't a course on how to make every outcome in your business be perfect. It's how do you carry yourself. I want to say one thing for other people. A tape of this will be available on LinkedIn. I think you're also going to distribute a slightly edited one. So people had said in the comments, will we be able to watch this later?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and so this is, but I want to go back on the time machine to before this course existed.
Mm-hmm.
And as I understand it, your motivation is to increase the odds that more people, that all people will say, as you say, what needs to be said in a skillful way. That if you see something that this isn't right, this could be better, that you want to give people, and this is one piece of your strategy to do this, the tools and the skills and the energy and motivation to speak up. Is that fair?
Absolutely fair. And I just feel that, the only way we work together well is if we're really taking advantage of all of our assets, different strengths, playing to the strengths, not to the weaknesses. And if we're not open about strengths and weaknesses, we can't even do that. And so I just
Right.
feel it's so fundamental, and the ability to be real, to be open-hearted, to feel that you are free to speak up. I mean, I feel it gets to your very existence, And so when you come to work and spend so much time at work and don't feel that you can really, stand tall and say something in a way that's going to land well and reflect well on
Right.
you, I feel like it's a work injustice. I feel really bad. I mean, I genuinely am like, oh my God, it drives me crazy.
So part of this is as simple as how you respond to what other people say. Because it's not just, oh, well, everything the leader says is important and nothing that anybody else says is important. It's how, you know, how willing am I to listen? How willing am I to ask for help, as you say? Um, you're really, if you are in a leadership role, you're creating that part of the culture, right?
Absolutely. And I would say for the formal leader, if you have folks who are really feeling agency, are bringing up ideas, spotting things they don't think look right, and feel that that's their job, guess how much easier it is to lead?
Mm,
Right?
right.
So people are stepping up. No one is taking away kind of the hierarchy and the fact that you deserve to be there and you have earned it, not taking any of that away. But, it's just a little bit like the groups I've been in, we've always said, hey, when we're hiring people, everyone knows we're hiring people way better than we are. Right.
Mm,
Now, there are groups where that doesn't happen because people are a little bit intimidated. So you bring in people that aren't as good. And for the folks who are the A folks, A's hire A's, B's hire C's. And so
right.
you really want, I think, to be able to help um, create an environment where people are all stretching. And, there's a healthy kind of competition. This isn't a big kumbaya, let's all get along. We want to have
Right.
amazing results. But I think the chance for people to feel like they can speak up is really fundamental to being valued at work. And that starts with valuing yourself.
Mm. One of the things you said to me long ago when I was working with a few other people was, who do you want to be together? And I remember we all looked at each other and was like, huh? Like, it's such a powerful and obvious question that people don't ask and say, how do we want to be together? This is in our entire life. It's maybe we're on a team, maybe we're in a company, maybe we're on a project. How do we want to be together? Is that type of question just kind of a side effect of when you start to think about how do we say things to each other?
Well, the at the core, and I love that you're bringing this. Who are we together? Whether you're a couple, a sports team, church choir, whatever. Like this group, the entity has its own being, its own persona, and everyone contributes that. And the notion of the relation part of this is so key, the connection part, because effective communication is what others hear. It's not what you think you said. So you've got to be connected enough to these people so that they can hear you the way you want to be heard. And um, that fundamental, like 1 and 1 is 11, when you come together, people say, I want to be on this kind of team, that kind of team. I'm like, well, you're part of the team and you can create that, and we can create it together. And I often ask folks, if I'm on the outside and I'm looking at your little team, what words would I use to describe you? How, what kind of, and it's a very empowering exercise, because I said you can either let people make it up, or you can be very intentional in the words you choose and how you treat others and your behaviors to come across as, whether it's a huge amount of respect or leading from the front or whatever you want to be known for. It isn't an accident. And I learned that the hard way, right? I remember once getting input about, you come across this way. And I was like, "Ooh." And then I realized they had that impression because I unconsciously did something that gave them that impression. That was on me.
I just want to share with everybody. I just thought of this. I once had the opportunity to watch Molly interact with the board of directors of an organization in a 2-hour session. And then we were part of a 2-day event that was just open to the public. And all these people who had worked together for years kept coming up to Molly, because I was with Molly the whole time, and saying, okay, but what do I say to the president? And the president would come over and say, okay, what do I say to the chairman? And then say, what do I say to the treasurer? And what struck me about that was, even after years of working together, of making million and multi-million dollar decisions together, of deciding the fate of their organization, they didn't really know how to interact with each other in this positive, in support of the system way. So this assumption that, well, you're 40, 50, 60, 70, you know how to do this. Not so much, right?
That's exactly why we're here in this situation. And this is when it pains me when people say and look me straight in the eyes, oh, so annoying. And it's never going to change, because they feel that, it has to be driven by the top. And, God bless the people at the top. If they're not getting some of the inputs that they need to grow and to be better, right, it's hard. And that's where I feel like we are all in this boat together, folks, and not pretending everybody's equal in their roles and their responsibilities. We're equal as human beings. But if everyone really embraces the difference that you can make, and the right organization is going to love that. And if somehow you're in a place that's sort of like, whatever, you might want to think, is that a place that you can spread your wings and fly? And it's up to you. It's a personal choice.
And so why don't we start to wind down, and any last thoughts about what you hope people get out of this? If they have questions or concerns after they take the course, or
Yeah.
anything you want to share?
Yeah. Well, first, for everyone out there live and folks who'll be tuning in, I'm just very, very grateful that you have interest and that you're willing to go there, because that's how the world gets better. And I do not take this opportunity lightly, to help people literally find their voice, use it in a better way, to be able to help themselves, but also all those around you. So it's really a great privilege for me. I'm I'm just super excited about leaders being better. Like, I really think it's a privilege to lead, and I want folks to lead well. And by doing so, in your communication, you can really help individuals empower themselves and feel better with themselves. I think we're in a world where there's a lot of disconnects, and this ability to be forthright and open-hearted when we speak, it was going to help people, bring them together. And I love the idea of unity, right? Rather than going apart and looking at all the differences. And I really do think that we can live in a world where people win as one, right? Where people can speak without fear and feel heard, work together to make good ideas great, let go of what doesn't serve us, and create extraordinary value and meaning in our lives. And I believe that. And most of all, I'd like people to, when you fully self-express, you're going to be happier, I think healthier, and you'll be more productive. For sure at work, but more importantly in our lives. So, our communications are how we interact with those we care most around us. The punchline on the course is communication is the currency of our work, really of our life. And so I appreciate people willing to go there, because I think it's going to be something that pays a lot of dividends.
Mm. Nicely said, as I might imagine you would. So this is Molly Chang. Her course is Leadership Communications in the Flow of Work, LinkedIn's first course on leadership communications. And I've learned more from Molly than any other person. So I would strongly encourage you all to take this and to tell other people, because Molly literally wants to start a movement to help people say what needs to be said for all of our benefits. And she genuinely means that. So I hope you'll check out the course. I also hope that someone among you and I and Eric, who's on the background, knows how to end this course, because we could be
Yes,
here for the
I can
next.
hit the end broadcasting. So I want to thank
Okay.
everyone for joining us. I want to thank my dear, dear friend Bruce for just everything that you've helped me learn, and being by my side. You've been just a godsend. And I'm here for folks. I appreciate you taking the course. Tell everyone about it. Feedback I welcome. So keep it coming. And then I'm cheering for everyone. Take good care.
Bye-bye.